Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you just tell us your name for the court and the court reporter, please?
Sure, it's Elise Thompson.
And how do you spell your first name?
Elise.
And Ms. Thompson, how long have you lived in North Carolina?
I've lived there since the fall of '98.
And did you all live in the Hedingham neighborhood at some point?
Yes, we lived there our entire marriage, which is July of 2004.
And tell us who's in your family?
Myself, Alan, husband at the time, James, and Austin.
Back in October of 2022, how old were James and Austin?
Austin was 15, James was 16 and a half.
How were they as brothers?
They were very good. They got along very well, and they did a lot of stuff together.
Like, what types of things would they do together?
Of course, they played video games. They were teenagers. They walked to and from the bus every day together. Growing up, we went to the pool all the time. They really enjoyed that. I'm trying to think.
No,
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
This is not the most calm situation I've been in.
It is not, and we appreciate you being here. They got along well, but
They did.
they were, personality-wise, were they different?
Yeah. James was more outgoing, and Austin was more like me, where it took him a few minutes to warm up to a room
Okay.
or to new people.
Okay.
But after that, he was fine.
Okay.
Such as he had his Sunday school class every Sunday, and he got along well with all of them.
With regards to, were they into sports, or was one more into sports than the other?
Yep. James, our late son, was more into sports, even though both of them were very athletic kids. Austin did, at the beginning of his sophomore year of high school, he took sports medicine as an elective, and I picked him up a couple times a week after school for that.
Okay. With regard, so what were the types of things that if Austin wasn't into sports, what were the things that he liked to do?
Besides video games, he liked to go fishing. He liked to go hunting with his dad, Alan. There was whenever I was going to the grocery store, they wanted to come with me because then they knew that they would get their favorite snacks.
Okay.
And they liked to go out for ice cream with me, which was, when we did, it was usually on a Sunday, most of the time.
You've mentioned video games several times.
Yeah.
Would they play video games together or separately?
They would play games separately. They would take turns for a couple of hours.
And where in the home did they have these video game systems in their rooms, or was there just one, or tell us about that?
There was one gaming system and TV that they worked on. It was a ranch house, so it was the kitchen, the open eating area, which was the table, and their video game with their chair and setup. And then there was another half wall like this, and then that was the living room.
Okay.
So we could see what was going on.
Okay. With regards to school, how did they do in school?
They were both on honor roll, so that was nice.
Okay. Was there a time where were they consistently on honor roll?
For high school, yes. For middle school, if I remember correctly, it was merit roll.
Okay. And where did they go to middle school and high school?
Middle school, they went to the brand new, I've been there so many times dropping them off. It is right near Wake Tech off of Lewisburg Road, and it was the Riverbend. I'm sorry. Now I finally remembered. It's Riverbend Middle School, and it was the very first year that it had opened.
Okay.
They went.
And then they were both in high school back in 2022, is that right?
Yes, at Nightdale High School. Mm-hmm.
And by 2022, was James driving at all?
Yes. He was clocking hours to get his permit. And when high school started, he would drive my car, and I'd be in the passenger seat, and Austin would be in the back, and then he would get his 15 minutes in the mornings. And then after they were dropped off, then I drove on to work for the day.
And at that time, schedule-wise, when would you typically get home from work?
Around 5:30, 5:40.
And back in 2022, what was Alan doing for work?
Was a handyman.
Did he have regular hours, or was he kind of gone most of the day?
It was flexible, but usually he was gone during the day, Monday through Friday, typically. And so what was the routine, kind of the daily routine with the comings and goings from home? They were pretty self-sufficient as far as they would get up and get themselves ready for school. We didn't have to hound them at all. And then I would be getting ready after they did. And like I mentioned, I would get in the car and he could get his time in for school, and then I would go to work until 5, and then I would go right home. And if I wasn't going right home, I would stop at like the grocery store or get my hair cut or something like that, like a regular type of errands. Okay. And did they ever have any incidents or get into any trouble during these times where they were at home alone? Nope, they were really good kids. They were at home, at school, at Sunday school. As far as I know, they never even handed in a late assignment ever to school. So I want, what time, I think you may have mentioned this, but what time typically, if you know, did they get home from school? They got home around 3:10, I believe. And that's when they would get off the bus? Yes, also. And then they would walk home. So I want to take you to the day that this all happened. What did you have any plans that afternoon or after work? Yes, right from work. I ran an errand maybe to get an ice cream or something, and then I was getting my hair colored at 6. And that normally takes an hour. And then I would have gone home after that. Okay. At what point that evening did you realize that there was something going on? When her boyfriend turned on the television, we were in the kitchen. She was applying the hair dye, and he turned on the TV, and all of a sudden there's Headingham shooter. Okay. So we ran and saw the news and saw the back area of Headingham, which is where we lived at the time. And what did you do once you saw this information? I tried to call them, and neither of them picked up, and then I tried to text both of them, and I didn't hear back. And then, if I remember correctly, I immediately called Alan after that. So what time of day, this would have been after work, after your errand? Yeah, my hair appointment was not until 6 o'clock, okay. So I don't know, maybe 6:15, 6:30-ish. Okay. They turned on the TV, okay. And then we knew something terrible was happening. And when you reached out to Alan, were you able to actually connect with him? Yeah, I did connect with him, and of course it was stressful. I remember him saying that he got a flat tire, and he had a regular SUV, and because he got a flat tire, he had to empty out all of his tools to get to the spare tire, put it on, then he had to put all of his tools back. And so that took him, that's how I got home before he did.
And so by the time you're getting home, what is the Hedingham neighborhood like at that point? Did you notice anything
There was,
the ordinary?
yeah, there was a lot of police cars, and I was able to drive into the neighborhood on the firehouse side, which is Skycrest, I believe.
And when you got home, do you typically pull in the garage, or do you park up the
Yes,
street?
I normally pull in the garage, except there was a police officer on, when you're looking at the garage, the police officer vehicle with the lights on was on the left.
Okay. So, tell us about getting into your home that afternoon.
I parked very quickly across from our driveway. I parked across the street on the neighbor's side of the street, and I opened the garage door, the big door, to get in, and then we normally go through that door to get in the house every day. And that door was locked, which was very unusual. And I kept banging on the door, and then I didn't get a response, so I ran out of the garage and right onto it was a very easy U-turn, and ran up onto the porch.
And were you able to get inside?
Yes, I went to hit the doorbell, and then I was going to bang on the door, and the door was opened a little bit, and I was able to just walk into the house.
And then, when you got inside, what happened? Where did you go first once you got inside?
I just walked in the house, and of course my head's on a swivel because all this stuff is going on, and I didn't see them in the kitchen. I glanced past their bedrooms, and then I walked into our master bedroom, which, as everyone knows, that's where I found his body on the bathroom floor.
And we've heard about that and its impact on you from others that heard it. Once you were outside of the home, what do you remember?
I remember running and screaming, and I went out the same front door that I came in, and I remember saying, they killed him, and then I remember running back in because I had to go to the bathroom because there was so much going on. And then I remember, as soon as I flushed the toilet, I remember a female officer knocking on the bathroom door saying, you have to come out now. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to clean up, I'm trying to change my clothes and stuff. And she's like, no, you have to come out now. So I remember throwing on a nightshirt, and she walked out with me, and she sat me in the rocking chair, which was in the driveway.
And you were taken for some medical treatment at that point?
Yeah, I had a panic attack, and I remember when someone walked me to the ambulance that was open, and I remember saying, oh, you got me on the first stick, thank you. And that's all I remember. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital bed, and Alan was sitting next to me, and all I could see was just police officers.
When you wake up, or you kind of come to, or I guess
Yeah, I did.
Get to your faculties more about you there in the hospital. Is that when you learn kind of what is going on?
Yes, what I remember waking up, I remember a male detective sitting there, and he said, Austin did this. And, you don't think of that. That's your child. You're like, what? And they're like, Austin did this. He left a note. And I'm like, you're just not comprehending what's happening to you.
Right.
You try, and then I don't even remember what questions they were asking me after I woke up.
Right. So leading up to this incident, had you noticed a change at all in Austin?
No, not at all. It was a complete shock. There were no different moods, no different behavior, nothing.
Had he, I know there's been some testimony that he was, was he taking any prescription medications that you know of?
Yes, he and his brother both, they were taking acne medication, but I don't remember the name of it.
Okay.
I just knew they took it once a day.
And how long had they been taking that, if you remember?
I think it was almost a year. I'm pretty sure.
From the time when they started taking that, or specifically when Austin started taking this medication, did you notice a change in him at all?
Nope, I didn't notice any behavior changes at all.
Did he ever complain or mention that the medicine made him feel weird or anything like that?
No, nothing at all.
He continued to make good grades?
Yes, they both did.
And when he was, when the boys would play video games, what do you remember? What types of games these were?
I'm pretty sure it was Call of Duty.
And would they play? You know, I think you had the ability. I could just play right here in my living room, or I could play with someone online.
Yeah,
would they do that?
Yes, they would. They had, I don't know what the headset was, that allows you, and it's got the microphone, and they could talk to other people. Sometimes it was overseas.
Okay.
It was English speaking.
Okay. And did the boys have cell phones?
Yes, they recently had cell phones. Yep.
Ms. Thompson, is there, understanding that this is likely a parent's worst nightmare, is there anything that you could think of that, looking back, you feel like maybe you should have noticed or seen?
No, I've run through that almost every day since the tragedy, and I don't remember seeing any issues at all, or mood swings or anything like that. He was just normal.
Is there anything, what if anything, would you like the court to know about how this has impacted you, understanding that you lost James during this?
Yes.
What, if anything, would you like to tell the court about how this has impacted you?
Yeah, we lost both of our children in one afternoon. I wrote a thing.
That's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I read it now, or do you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Okay. No one ever thinks they will outlive their child, let alone find their lifeless, bloody body. No one ever expects to have everything important to them ripped away from them in a single afternoon. I'm not sure anyone can understand where Alan and I sit. We both lost our children, one at the hand of the other. We never saw this coming and still cannot make sense of it. To know that my son, who I carried for 9 months, caused all of this heartache and tragedy is still a complete shock. Austin was a happy kid. He was an honor roll student who never caused any trouble, problems at school or Sunday school. He was a great kid and a great brother and a great son. What he did makes no sense to me. We don't know why he did it, and we may never know why he did it. I just can't make any sense of it. The child that got up that morning on October 13th, 2022 would never have done this. I just can't comprehend it. I've heard the reason is the acne medication. We've asked the investigators to help find the reason. We gave them everything, our phones, our photo albums, our computers, everything from our house to help them figure out why. They still don't know why. Even though it won't bring back James or anyone else's loved ones, and even won't undo the injuries suffered by the two survivors, we still long for an answer. How could the kid I knew and raised do this? And I don't know, because he wouldn't have done this. Austin, I know you did this, and I also know as your mom, this wasn't anything you had in you. You and James were great babies, kids, and teens. You and James were our world. I miss you both every day. I can't imagine a day there will ever be where I don't miss you. As parents, we will never get to witness the milestones that you and James would have experienced. In my lifetime, I will not see either of you get your driver's license, go to the prom, see you walk across the stage to get your high school diplomas, or see you attend college. I will miss watching both you launch into adulthood, getting married, and potentially having your own children. We belong to the worst club on earth. My heart is shattered, and so are my hopes and dreams for you and James. We have nothing left to look forward to. I lost both of you in one afternoon. The last thing I want to say is to the families of the victims, Susan, Mary, Nicole, Gabriel, and to the survivors, Lynn and Casey. I know your lives have changed permanently, and I am and will forever be sorry for the pain that this has caused you. That's it.
Thank you. Ms.
Yep.
Thompson.